Marge, no! I've pledged my abstinence, like all the most successful rock stars.
Come on, mister, I'm too tired to get my groove back. It's all on you.
And in today's story, as they return from a disturbing event at Camp Krusty, Bart and Lisa interrupt Homer and Marge's lovey-dovey time, resulting in a more productive Homer and a more affectionate husband devoid of carnal distractions. However, Marge longs for the old Homer. To confront their emotional scars, Bart and Lisa revisit the camp. The episode begins with the family dog sniffing the ground. We see clothes scattered around the house and, outside, in the treehouse, we see Marge and Homer. After a moment alone thanking the fact that the kids are at Krusty's camp, they hear a strange noise. Looking down, they see Chief, Wiggum and Lou, who came after receiving a complaint about a gong. So, Homer starts, justifying himself, saying he was just enjoying his wife's company while their kids were elsewhere. Soon, the scene shifts to the camp, where Bart is wrecking the place. Then, the day comes for the kids to come home. As the bus arrives, all the parents are gathered to welcome their children. When the kids get off the bus, they're all traumatized, visibly so. Marge and Homer welcome their kids. She's glad they're back, but mentions they'll need therapy after this traumatic event. So, in therapy, everyone talks about the traumatic events that happened at camp. The doctor explains that because of these events, it's good that nobody goes to school for a while, which leaves Lisa completely bewildered and Bart completely happy. Then, Lisa mimics the doctor, which ends up letting her go back to school, while Bart makes faces to seem unable to return to school. Leaving the room, the doctor meets Marge and explains that it's good for Bart not to go to school because of his trauma. Even after she mentions she was planning to buy clothes for him, the doctor says if Bart went back to school, they might as well buy his coffin clothes. Next, Principal Skinner shows up wondering who had towed his car. After some conversation, the doctor admits it was him, and then they both go to sort out the issue. At home, Bart sets up a plan to pretend he's traumatized by cutting onions and irritating his eyes. In his parents' room, they talk as Homer wants to keep dating Marge, and she resists a bit, but eventually gives in and they kiss. Bart rushes in, desperate and crying, saying he can't sleep, which gets to Marge, who lets Bart sleep in her bed. This prompts Homer to leave, and after turning off the lights, Homer tries to bribe Bart, but Marge catches him and he makes up, an excuse that he was just giving the kid his allowance.
What the hey?
Just giving him his allowance.
The next morning, Marge reads the pamphlet Bart got, and after reading some trauma symptoms, Bart shows up, demonstrating another symptom, a serious one. Marge starts saying he won't go to school and then accompanies him to the living room. Bart goes to watch Itchy and Scratchy, and he even asks to put Homer's pillow under his butt. Marge allows it, and while Bart is watching and having fun, he asks his mom to have a sandwich for lunch, but she suggests a salad. However, he makes a sad face, saying that's what they serve at camp. With that, Marge ends up giving in to his wish, but not very happily. During the night, the couple is lying down and Bart is sleeping between them. Then, Homer suggests they two go out on a date, but Marge refuses because Bart is on her arm. After some attempts, he gives up and decides to go to work earlier, which surprises Marge. When he gets to work, Homer discovers several surprises, like having parking spots, lots of donuts, and even hot coffee. After arriving at his spot, he starts cleaning everything, and after finishing, he starts reading the nuclear reactor manual, something he should have done when he joined the company, but never did, and his brain starts working overtime. Hours pass, and later, Lenny and Carl show up to joke with Homer, who refuses to participate. They find Homer's reaction strange, but Carl says that seeing Homer being so productive makes him want to work. Then, Homer's brain kicks into high gear, and after observing some points in the company, he decides to go talk to Smithers. He tells him the problems and gives the solutions, receiving congratulations, which pleases his brain. But upon hearing the comment that something is different about him, Homer confesses he's having problems in his relationship with his wife. During the night, all three sleep together again, and Bart has nightmares about the camp, while Marge watches. In the nightmare, Bart is at the camp with Lisa and another kid, and the waters start moving so much it scares him. Bart wakes up and realizes he's indeed traumatized. With that, he runs to Lisa's room, but she asks him to wait until the next morning. The next morning, Bart comes back and says he had a nightmare about the camp. He starts acting it out, and Lisa gets scared because his memory is coming back, but she asks him not to continue because she doesn't want to skip school. Even though Bart tries to change her mind, it doesn't happen because she wants to keep her reputation of having 100% attendance at school. So she gets out of bed while Bart jokes about her not wanting to skip. In the kitchen, Homer makes breakfast for Marge and kisses his dad before leaving. At work, Homer is very productive, and they show a compilation of the contribution he's making to the company with ideas and his hard work. Later, he goes to Mr. Burns' office and suggests more ideas. He gets offered another raise and even earns his button for the dungeon. At an amusement park, Lisa and Bart end up getting a fast pass due to their traumas. Lisa takes advantage of it while Bart gets upset that his sister got the pass so easily.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. If everyone has a cut-the-line pass, no one has a cut-the-line pass.
Quit your whining, I'm riding the ride! While you were pouting, I did it again!
Back home, when Homer arrives, Marge goes to him and tells him there's no one at home. As she approaches him, Homer refuses, which surprises her because he had never done that before. She insists a bit more, but Homer still refuses. Then, Marge gets disappointed, and Homer explains all the great things a man can do when he's abstaining. With that, Marge realizes that her children and now her marriage are falling apart. So she decides it's time for them to go to therapy. In the therapist's office, Homer answers some intimate questions, and then Marge explains that everything happened after their children's trauma at camp. The doctors inform them that they need to send their kids back to camp to face their fears. But Homer is against it since abstinence was making him very productive, but the doctors keep insisting and excuse themselves to attend to the next patient. In the car, Marge starts to think about the whole situation because their kids were not doing well, and now that she had the man she always dreamed of, she realizes she doesn't want him anymore. And for some reason, they were now heading back to Camp Crustier. When they arrive at the camp, they observe and start to wonder what happened to the place. Then, Milhouse's dad shows up and explains about the changes at the camp. After that, Marge leaves Bart and Lisa in a cabin, and the atmosphere is quite calm, with two adults playing with the kids. While the two sit at a table to do some activities, Lisa calls him to escape from there. And after Bart resists a bit, he ends up giving in, and the two sneak out through the window. As Marge and Homer keep walking through the camp, Homer wishes to grab boarding passes, even though they didn't fly there. While Lisa and Bart walk through the forest, Lisa spots a cabin and has a memory of the place. So, they enter and start seeing various red vests hanging and canoes. This triggers Bart's memory, and he remembers they were in the canoe because they were running away from camp. He then recalls that another boy was with them, and his name was Charlie. With the strong storm, the canoe rocked a lot, and they ended up falling into the river. But Lisa and Bart managed to get back to the canoe, but Charlie didn't. Back to reality, Krusty shows up in the cabin, and Lisa mentions believing that someone at the camp had gone missing. In the Homer and Marge scene, while he reads, Marge caresses him and asks if they could have a date right there. At that moment, Homer's brain starts undergoing the necessary changes, and everyone stops working as they receive the message of what was going to happen there. And soon enough, Marge jumps on him. Krusty takes the kids to file the report on his property, but while the kids make the report, Krusty signals to the officer not to do anything. As soon as Lisa speaks, the officer asks if they can keep a secret and quickly shows Charlie working. Then, the kids find out that Charlie was actually a little person. Everyone gathers, and Charlie explains that he worked as a spy for a magazine. When the canoe overturned, he took the opportunity to swim away after getting rid of the vest. After hearing the story, Bart sheds a tear, which impresses Lisa. Bart doesn't even try to hide it and says that he probably really was traumatized, but now he was happy. Homer and Marge are now back to being okay after having some time alone. And at the end of the episode, back home, Homer's brain stops working and he's sprawled on the couch while enjoying his drink.